given them a little bit of a break.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we have been focusing so much on snow. Now we actually have to focus in on some cold for the weekend. And we'll talk more about this in your regional weather, but it's chilly today. We're going to be in the 20s and same with tomorrow, but the real cold is up in Canada right now. You can see negative numbers across parts of Canada, and that's what's moving in our direction. Now, this is the feel-like trend during some of our morning hours. I think it's in the process of updating here.
Yeah.
But again, Saturday and Sunday, problematic because that could be closing in on cold weather advisory criteria, which is just that new wind chill advisory. So some dangerous wind chills expected as we get to the weekend.
Right, and we'll be talking more about that, as you said, in the regional forecast coming up in just a little bit. And of course, with the cold temperatures that are coming, we have a reminder for you that you do have options to keep out of the elements and stay warm. This is a list of the warming centers that are open daily. These locations are open daily from 7 at night to 7 in the morning. So it gets you out of the cold during the coldest hours of the day, typically. For more information, you can visit the Fox Local mobile app. You have all the information you need right there.
And a friendly reminder, too, it's not just your sidewalks and driveways that need to be cleared. I know it is so icy by me. The post office is asking everyone to clear sidewalks and areas around mailboxes so postal workers can deliver the mail safely. Just something to keep in mind as you're clearing the area around your home.
Right, just enough for them to get their, van or truck or whatever close enough so they can reach over and do their thing. They've got those, backward trucks with the steering wheel on the other side. So they're doing what they can. We'll do what we can to make it a little bit of an easier process. We didn't see quite as much snow here, though, in the last go-around as what our friends did farther to the west. Minnesota is still digging out, and it's causing them some really big problems. Fox 9's Saquon tells us more live from the Twin Cities.
Hey, good morning. We are here in St. Paul, just at the corner of Hillcrest and Syndicate. Where I'm standing right now is just along Syndicate. I'll step out of the way because you can tell there's a pretty big difference between these two streets. This right side that you're seeing on your screen right now, just along Syndicate, again, you can tell the right side has already been plowed this morning. We've seen those plow drivers make their way on through. And you can also tell that that's been plowed because you can see that giant snow pile there that those plow drivers kind of brushed off to the side. Pan over a little bit to the right and you can see this is Hillcrest Avenue here now. Those cars technically are not allowed to be parked on those streets right now. Maybe they're just going to get lucky today, but we've already seen some drivers getting up early this morning, brushing off their cars and getting ready to move their cars to a different street where parking is actually allowed right now. I do want to give you a look at the snow emergency map for St. Paul this morning. We have zoomed into the Highland Park neighborhood. This is where we're at right now. Those solid red lines you're seeing are for the day plow routes, meaning all cars need to be off of that street by 8 o'clock this morning. Now, you can park in areas that are dotted orange, but only if the street has been plowed curb to curb. That, again, a perfect example of where you can park right now is where we are, Syndicate, just on the right-hand side. There are signs placed all over the city that explain which side is what. And if you don't follow the rules, get ready to pay up because the city says any cars parked on a street during prohibited times may be ticketed or towed. These cars here may be the ones in trouble because, again, they are not supposed to be parking on those streets. That went into effect at 8 o'clock last night, so hopefully they can get a little lucky today. Now, just across the river in Minneapolis, the city is starting to plow all the even-side streets. That's going to be in effect until about 8 o'clock tonight before they start plowing the odd-numbered streets starting tomorrow at 8 a.m. In St. Paul, Saquon, Fox 9.
Saquon was live there all morning for our sister station in the area, Fox 9, as I mentioned, filed that report. So an interesting, look at that compared to what we've also seen here. But now we go somewhere else to the northeast.
Another chilly and snowy weather alert in the northeast. Take a look at this video. This is out of northern New Jersey. So snow falling in Hampton Township yesterday afternoon. No more snow is expected, but it's probably not going away anytime soon. High temperatures through the weekend are only going to be in the mid-30s. Now that sounds balmy to me and us here in Wisconsin, but for them, again, a little cool. Temperatures only in the 20s, though, expected on Sunday. So they will eventually get the cold air that we're dealing with a little sooner.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of snow. They're big fat
flakes,
flakes,
I know.
too. Yeah, lots to deal with there. But it's not only snow stories in the weather news today. The Pacific Northwest is getting rain and flooding. That area was hit hard by a huge storm, leading to flooding all across the region. The governor of Washington State has declared a statewide emergency emergency, and evacuations have been ordered as rivers spill over their banks. Forecasters say one river north of Seattle could peak at more than 5 feet higher than its record level. Look at these pictures.
Wow.
Yeah, we know, I mean, that strikes a chord here, of course, because we remember the flooding from earlier in the summer as well. A county sheriff, a swiftwater rescue team had to be called to evacuate 8 people trapped by floodwaters in an RV park next to a river. The city and the surrounding county issued evacuation orders. The sheriff's office, says many of those who were rescued are indeed senior citizens.
There was one RV that had a father and 3 children inside, and the water was about 3 feet deep at that time, and there's a current, so it's not like people can get through this.
That's a very good point. Yeah, you shouldn't be walking. The water with a current like that can take you off your feet, and in that cold in particular. You're cold, you're wet, and it's really putting yourself at risk for sure. City and county officials continue contacting neighbors to make sure people are following all the alerts there. The sheriff's office estimates an additional 50 to 75 mobile homes are at risk of flooding.
And that's one of the areas that are just dealing with system after system, those atmospheric rivers that we talk about a lot of times in California, the Pacific Northwest, just in the midst of multiple storm systems.
Right, it just feeds so much moisture in over a steady period of time. Now, we've had kind of a series of clippers, like a clipper parade I've been
we have.
We've been calling it lately. Now, this next one, though, takes a little bit of a dive, maybe.
Yes, I think we're going to miss out on this one,
okay
which
with
is,
that.
I think, great news
I do
for
not have
Wisconsinites,
FOMO
right?
about this at all.
Me either. You stay west, Snow. But let's dive into our regional forecast and kind of show you the bigger picture here. You can see that snow is already falling for our neighbors to the west across Iowa and the Dakotas. There is a little bit of light snow in Minnesota as well. So we're going to watch this one very closely, but again, I would say an improved forecast for us here locally compared to what we were looking at yesterday. It did look like this was going to be another storm system, bringing at least a little bit of snow, but trending way west now. There's still some activity out east too, New England states as well as New York, portions of Pennsylvania still dealing with some lake effect snow, and again, the Pacific Northwest. Yes, there is still high wind, there is still flooding potential as these systems just continue to work their way through that area. But it's very active right now across our northern tier states of the U.S. Down towards the south, not so much. In fact, when I show you temperatures, it's incredible the difference between southern states and even central portions of the U.S. compared to those of us up towards the north with all the action. We just kind of talked about this atmospheric river, so another storm system still bringing some flooding impacts to portions of the Northwest, and this could continue here through the remainder of the week, if not even into the weekend. Now you can also see when it comes to winter weather headlines, there is a narrow area of winter weather advisories extending from parts of Montana and especially the Dakotas all the way down to the mid-Atlantic for this snowy system that's going to likely stay west of us. It's for a couple of inches of snow, but also a light glaze of ice, especially when you get to some of these southernmost states. There are a few more winter weather headlines across parts of Montana as they are expecting another system to work its way on through. Now to the east, you can see a lot of this is actually some lake effect, but some system snow still ongoing as well. So it's a bit active too from parts of Pennsylvania all the way up into New England states with winter weather advisories and one winter storm warning for lake effect snow. Bringing you back closer to home across Wisconsin, let's talk about what we have the next couple of days. This system again is trending towards the west. Now there is a little bit of light snow right now coming together across northern and central Minnesota. There is the slight chance that brings us a few flurries to southwest, maybe south central Wisconsin. So I do think Milwaukee's viewing area for the most part going to miss out on this. You can see it just tracking just south and west of us, more so impacting parts of Illinois. That being said, Friday, as we skip ahead, we have a cold front moving through. That's what's going to bring us the big drop in temperatures for the weekend, but it also still has the potential to bring us at least a few light snow showers with minimal accumulation throughout your Friday midday as well as afternoon, potentially into the evening. Now, we're also looking at a system for Saturday. But at this point in time, it is actually trending towards the west as well, kind of like the one for today is. But I do think we'll just need to watch that track pretty closely, because at the very least, it may bring some spots along the Wisconsin-Illinois border some light snow. But you can see that it's kind of taking that same track as the storm that's moving west of us right now. That one's still a few days away though, so we'll just watch how that track evolves. Now the heavy snowfall with today's system stays west and south of us, but with that light snow chance tomorrow, there is the chance for Milwaukee's viewing area to maybe pick up a few 10-7 inch, and then even as you get up towards the north, not really looking at substantial snow. It's going to be that really powdery snow because we're going to be so cold. Not a lot of moisture with it. Now I mentioned temperatures earlier. This is a look at forecast highs. So those of us around the Great Lakes region and Upper Plains are still looking at a cool day. Look at the contrast in temperatures out west though. A high of 67 in North Platte, parts of Arizona and New Mexico and Texas expected to see 80s today. So there really is a big change from north to south. Here we're going to have to call these 20s warm because of the cold air we have moving in for the weekend. Tonight, we're still going to fall, likely to single digits and teens. And Friday will briefly climb to 20s. But once we see the snow moving through, that signifies the cold front. And then we really feel that big drop in temperatures heading on into Saturday morning. I think a lot of spots Saturday morning could drop below zero, even air temperatures, but also especially for wind chills. And that's really going to impact our daytime temperatures too. Only single digits for Saturday, maybe low teens on Sunday. You know, there is a somewhat end in sight though. There is the chance we jump above freezing by the middle of next week. But in the near term, we really need to watch the weekend as we have the chance to potentially see that cold weather advisory Saturday, Sunday morning with wind chills in the teens and 20s below zero. And just a refresher on that terminology, I believe Lisa talked about this yesterday, but that cold weather advisory, that is for wind chills in the 20s below, and that just is new terminology for a wind chill advisory. So just a refresher on some of the terminology there, but all you need to know when something like that is issued is that that's going to be some pretty impactful cold on the way.
Yeah, that's when we get into the territory where, you know, it can be impactful on your human health, your human safety.
Yes.
It's where things like warming shelters are even more important. I mean, even on a cold night, you want to find a safe place to be warm, but when it's those nights, we could be talking about the difference between life and death or, you know, possible significant medical impact. So we'll keep you up to date, and if anything is issued from the National Weather Service, you'll find out about it right here. Make sure your push alerts are turned on. All right, now we have an update on a story that we've been following for several weeks now. The damage to numerous coastal parks in parts of Florida following last year's hurricane season. Work is now underway to bring these parks back to what they once were.
Sarasota's Bayfront Park. A walk allows you to forget about the worries of the outside world.
As far as just getting out here and getting away from the hustle and bustle of the world, I just think it's so necessary to be able to have this done and for our residents and everyone to be able to enjoy.
And crews are now working to make sure all parts of the park can be enjoyed.
We've got some shoreline damage from the storms that is being addressed, along with the sidewalks that will be addressed.
Hurricanes Helene and Milton brought erosion and damage. It's taken more than a year for the design, permitting, and FEMA approvals for the work to get underway.
We're roughly doing about 500 to 600 feet of sidewalks and landscaping, and then we're doing about 1,000 feet of embankment, as well as 600 feet of rubber riprap out here to protect the shorelines.
Nikesh Patel, the director of public works for the city of Sarasota, says the riprap and landscaping will help harden the shoreline and bring additional protection.
That's essentially the big boulder rocks that are going to be withholding the shorelines and protecting the shorelines.
You can find similar work ongoing a few minutes away at Whitaker Gateway Park. By late summer next year, the city of Sarasota hopes to have all the projects completed.
We're shoring up those projects to make sure they're resilient for the future and the protective from future storms.
In Sarasota, Kimberly Quizon, FOX 13 News.
Fascinating, the process there of recovery,
Yeah,
more than a year.
It takes time, absolutely.
Yeah, she said a lot of interesting things like red tape, or what about red jellyfish? Yeah, that's what this looks like. I know, it looks like a giant red jellyfish just floating up there in the sky. People who've seen this, they figured it was aliens invading the Earth or any other kind of thing, but meteorologists have said, and it is true, that this is just an extremely rare weather phenomenon that can happen during a very powerful thunderstorm. It's called red lightning. Yeah, basically it's just red lightning. Instead of the bolts extending from the clouds to the ground, they spout up into the atmosphere. It's also known as a sprite. That's a term you may have heard about as well. The red flashes only last a few milliseconds and are typically only spotted from specific cameras or maybe from outer space. And this one obviously just happened to get a really great shot at the exact right moment, probably a time lapse perhaps, or maybe some sort of high-tech camera that was set to go off when the lightning occurred. But yeah, could you imagine seeing that in space? You might have thought, what am I looking at?
I absolutely would think it was aliens.
Yeah, for sure. And to be clear, that was a still photo.
Yes,
a moment in time. It didn't hang up there because that would have been particularly bizarre. But it was a great picture, so definitely had to share that. We've got more stuff to talk about. Lots of Christmas tree related weather stories coming up in just a couple of minutes. All right, welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts right here on Fox Local and the Fox 6 YouTube channel.
Well, it's been more than a year since North Carolina was hit with Hurricane Helene, but some Christmas tree farms are still feeling the impacts, unfortunately. So North Carolina is one of the largest Christmas tree exporters in the U.S. Maybe you didn't know that. I certainly didn't. Many farms, though, dealt with floods, mudslides, and loss of trees after Helene touched down in September of 2024.
As a tree grower, we probably took the biggest lick. We lost right around 64,000 trees.
They were panicking, trying to get to their fields, having to make makeshift bridges, bulldozers to just dig out and drive through the water if it's not too high.
Oh, that's, something you probably don't think about, right? And while some farms face years of recovery, many are optimistic, with experts seeing a strong supply of quality trees for later seasons.
Looks very Christmassy in some of those shots, and then in other ones you can see that significant damage right there for sure.
Just so many impacts.
Yeah, no doubt. So as we count down to the holidays, national experts are predicting more people will buy real Christmas trees this year. So at least there's a market there. Not because of their preference, but because of the prices. The American Christmas Tree Association says more than 80% of artificial Christmas trees come from China, making them more expensive because of the recent tariffs. National experts predicted this would mean more families may also choose to buy a real tree, hopefully from tree farmers, maybe from tree farmers in Cedarburg. Our local tree farmers here tell us so far it hasn't really been the case for them. Locally, the owner over at Stumps Tree Farm says last week's snowstorm caused a bit of a decline in sales. They are hoping things will pick back up.
I am team real tree, but those are pretty pricey as well.
That's true. They're
Price
not
has
what they
really
used to
gone
be.
up.
When I grew up with a real tree, and we'd always go out, pretty close to Christmas, and it was,
Yeah.
there'd be like a Boy Scouts thing or whatever. And I remember the prices then. My dad complained because that's, I'm thrifty by DNA.
Kind of got to be that way.
But I remember because it was like $20-25, but
Yeah.
you can't get it. You can get a wreath for that anymore.
Right,
so yeah, they're not cheap either, but they are beautiful.
They
and
are,
They
and I
smell
still love
amazing.
them.
But what about digital trees?
Oh, yeah, this is interesting. So, okay, if you don't want a reel, digital is an option.
Apparently.
Not even know what that means, but a digital 80-foot Christmas tree is spreading holiday cheer in St. George, Utah.
That is kind of cool.
That is cool. It contains 7,500 LED lights that are programmed to animate to holiday music that viewers can listen to in their cars on an FM station. So the crews say it takes a couple of days to build the tree on an 85-foot power pole. The tree will be lit nightly through the end of the year. That is in the southern portion of Utah, where snow isn't as favorable. According to the National Weather Service, annual snowfall is 1.2 inches in that area, which is hard to wrap your head around, right? But it's a big state.
Because we forget how far south Utah does go.
Exactly.
Yeah. And southwest at that.
Exactly. So normal high temperatures are in the lower 50s in that area, with this week 60s and 70s expected.
Oh, hello, let's go.
So there you go. It makes sense to have the digital tree, and it makes sense for us to go see the digital tree.
I would
right?
think we should, yes.
Let's go.
We'll take the Weather Experts show on the road
Where's the
live
tree?
from Utah just to see the digital tree.
I'll take some of these.
We could maybe do a field trip to the glass tree, though.
I
that's
would
down
love
Lake
to
Geneva.
see that.
It is beautiful. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll see if we can do a live shot from there coming up in the days ahead. Speaking of live shots, look at this. Caught on camera in Madrid, a rather daring decorating session.
Oh my.
Yes, those are divers, zoo staff. They had to brave the sharks to set up the nativity scene underwater. Nearly 3,000-gallon tank is what they're in right there. It's for the, obviously the local aquarium there, housing the nativity scene each Christmas since 1995, and so far there have been no incidents.
Okay, well, thankfully. Let's keep that going.
What a crazy scene. All right, well, we'll be back. I don't know if we can up that, but we'll try to top it next.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts right here on Fox Local. Well, researchers say climate change is impacting people's sleep, and it could be getting worse. We never want anything to impact our sleep, right?
I like my sleep when I can
That
get
happens. A study shows higher daytime or nighttime temperatures slightly lower the amount of sleep a person gets. By 2099, people could lose up to 24 hours of sleep each year due to rising heat. Heat prevents the body from cooling down and reaching REM sleep. Rising temperatures are also associated with more disrupted sleep throughout the night and more time spent awake in bed. The study was published in the December issue of Journal Environment International. And it does. I mean, Rob, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
we
when
have
you're
to
not
spend
comfortable.
more to
Yeah.
cool our houses down.
Exactly.
Some can't do that.
Your body's
so-
working harder and you're not
Yeah.
getting the restorative sleep. No REM sleep means no dreams.
Right.
I mean, what are we if we don't have our dreams? Right?
Nothing.
All right.
Absolutely nothing.
We'll be back tomorrow at the same time. We'll hope you join us. And if you can't, remember you can always find it on demand.